Welcome to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring Coast to Coast AM from March 15th, 2001.
One more time, I'm going to warn you, if you're offended by discussions about witchcraft, go away. Here comes Dr. Evelyn Paglini, a practitioner in the occult and the supernatural with over 30 years experience. She was tested at Duke University, FRNM, Foundation for the Research on the Nature of Man, by Dr. J.B. Ryan, Dr. Helmut Schmidt, and Dr. J. Levy. She is a parapsychologist, psychic doctor of divinity, founded the International Psychic Center in 1972, teacher, lecturer, consultant, spiritual warrior, called upon as an authority on the occult and the supernatural, set precedent in Texas, in fact, in the court system there, on a child abuse case with ritual overtones. Worked with law enforcement, on missing persons and murder cases. Many of her legendary cases were written in the country's leading news media, through the pages of the New York Post, the Chicago Tribune, Fate magazine, has appeared on ABC, CBS, NBC. Born and raised in a family of century-old occultists and practitioners of natural magic, trained in natural magic by her grandfather from the age of 4. She is Dr. Evelyn Paglini. Hi there, Evelyn.
Hi, how are you, Art?
I'm great. It sure is great to have you back.
Oh, it's a pleasure to talk to you once again on air.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, you know I have a great deal of interest in witchcraft. I've had it for a long, long time, and I have a wife who has a lot of interest in witchcraft, and so I've got a lot of things to talk to you about. But first, I know that you regard the Wiccans in a sort of a different way. From your point of view as a witch, what is the Wiccan religion? How do you regard it?
Well, I regard it as a religion that is involved with natural magic. They certainly have a creed to harm none. They certainly do no harm to people. I'm very surprised about the statement you made about President Bush.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm going here. They have a creed to harm none. They are, is it fair to say, white witches? Is that a good general term?
Yes, basically that is exactly what they are.
Okay. All right. Well, indeed, President Bush has made a statement with regard to some military officers, and that's his obvious attitude about the Wiccan religion. He wishes that it would not be regarded as a religion at all.
Well, I can understand why. Possibly he might be a little afraid of it being one of the fastest-growing religions out there, and because it gets the average person back into their own personal power and being able to affect change in their life. And certainly that is not what most organizations and businesses out there would like the average person to be able to do.
Mm-hmm. We claim to be a nation that reveres individualism and individual worship and all that sort of thing, but I don't know if we're quite as loose as we suggest to ourselves we are, huh?
We're not as tolerant of other people's culture and religion as we should be, considering here in the United States where it's supposed to be a freedom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we're big on that, but when it really gets down to it, if it's something that offends us, we're not so big on it, and it looks like the president is not so big on Wicca at all.
And if you fear it, you destroy it.
You're not a Wiccan, though, are you?
I'm not Wiccan. I'm Genessean. I am an Italian witch. They call us the Stregas.
What's the diff?
Well, the difference is most of the Wiccan that is around today comes from Northern Europe, the Druids and the Celtic form of tradition. My tradition is an awful lot older. It is older than the Etruscan, the Roman, the Greek, and the Egyptian. And so it is a matter of the old traditions.
Older than Egyptian?
Yes. Yes.
Wow. How far?
I am a Tuscany witch, and anybody who is involved with the ancient art and practice of magic understands that there is a small town called Tuscany in Italy that has a very unusual amount of people that have a bloodline or a lineage that predates or goes back into tens of thousands of years of heritage. And their traditions, their forms of magic is what is used today by myself and those people who follow those principles.
You said tens of thousands of years. How far back do you really think it goes?
I have been told by my grandfather that he had text that dated back 576,000 years.
Holy mackerel. There are a lot of Christians who think that the world's not been around but for about 20,000 years.
Well, that's their world. They're not talking about continents and civilizations that have submerged, that have unfortunately leased weapons upon each other and destroyed themselves.
I believe that. I had a Dr. Thompson on earlier in the week who made, I thought, a very good case, along with lots and lots of others, archaeologists, who say that life has come and gone, maybe not gone entirely, but virtually been squished down to almost nothing several times on Earth. Civilizations, high-tech, some of them have come and gone. You believe that?
I most certainly do. I believe that this planet also has been colonized by other species or beings from other galaxies and solar systems. And I also feel that we have had our DNA altered.
Sort of like 2001.
Just about.
Yep. So then there's one basic origin difference between yourself and Wiccans.
Yes.
What's the practical difference? We're all talking about, tonight we're going to talk a lot about practical magic.
All right.
All right, which was, I think, a movie title, good movie too. But we're going to talk a lot about real magic. So where is the difference there between you and the Wiccans?
I would have to say, first of all, that because of their creed to harm none, ours is different. We believe that if we have justification, if someone comes after ourselves or one member of our family, then we feel justified in order to use, let's say, a retaliation.
So your creed would be more like, don't harm too many.
Don't send it and you won't get it back.
Yeah. Well, again, there's a big difference between yourself and Christians. Christians, and this is why I don't, one of the reasons I don't include myself as a Christian, because Christians, it is said, should turn the other face. I'm not into that. I like my face as it is, and if somebody comes along and does it damage, I do damage back. I don't reach out to try to hurt anybody ever, but if they come after me, to hell with them, I'm going to come after them. And that kind of sounds like what you believe.
That is exactly what I believe. And I will use the means at my disposal in order to affect what I am going after.
Yes, and the means at your disposal are what we're going to talk about tonight. I've seen it work, Evelyn. I've seen it done myself. I've seen my wife do it. I really know it can be done. I know it's real.
Very talented, powerful lady.
Oh, yeah. I know all of this is real. I have seen it happen. It's pretty awesome to see it happen. And it's like everything else. A lot of people are doubters out there until they see it happen. Not many people see this kind of thing happen because it's not talked about very much, is it?
It's kept secret because they want to keep the knowledge as well as the power to themselves. They certainly don't want anyone else out there knowing about it or especially learning about it.
Well, that would make sense. If it really works, if it's a real thing, if it really is practical magic, then you would want to hold it secret so that not everybody's doing it, and particularly doing it to you.
That is correct.
Makes sense. What can be done to a person? Let's just say you've got an enemy, somebody who's come after you and done harm to you or your family. What can be done?
Well, the first thing to do is a cleansing and a shield of protection on yourself. In other words, you want to remove the negativity that has been sent. After removing it, you want to reverse it back to the sender. Then you want to put a shield of protection around you as well as any other member of your family if they too happen to be receiving anything.
All right, now let me stop you and ask you, this shield that you're putting up as you begin the process, is this to protect against the person somehow acquiring knowledge of what you're doing and coming back at you, or is this to protect yourself from what's said to be natural about witchcraft, and that is that which you send out will come back times several? Perhaps?
No. If you have justification, if someone has been attacking you, if you are under psychic attack, then what you are doing is a cleansing, a reversal, and putting up a shield of protection so that you cannot be penetrated again. Therefore, that which has been blocking and stopping you or causing you harm or difficulty will not be able to penetrate the shield that you have built up.
All right. So that then means there's an assumption that magic is being used against you in the first place.
Absolutely, yes.
All right, but most times that wouldn't be the case, would it, Evelyn? In other words, not too many people in the U.S. are really into the kind of magic you're into, so probably the harm that you would get from somebody would come from the real world. I mean, somebody, I don't know, raping your daughter, somebody robbing you and beating you up. I could think of a million different scenarios, but somebody doing real world damage to you, and so you're going to psychically go after them. The odds are they're not going to have magic, they're just going to have a bad soul. You know, he came after you here in the real world.
But there are people out there who have acquired knowledge, and they are using that knowledge against their fellow man. They are using it to either make them sick, cause them to have a disease, give them financial ruin, make every area an arena of their life, whether it's emotional, physical, whether it's love, financial, going to hell in a handbasket. They are using forces and energies in order to block and stop you from receiving your goods.
All right. How many people do you think there are in this country, bearing in mind we're basically a Christian nation?
Yes.
How many people are there using this kind of energy against others? How widespread is it?
Very widespread. Very widespread. Most people don't realize that a little bit of knowledge is certainly going to affect others. And if they acquire more, if they get into nature and the elements, if they get into herbs and plants and roots and gums and resins and oils, then they have got more tools to assist them in achieving their desired goal. And that desired goal may be to block and stop you or to cause you harm. And so there are many people out there that have acquired the knowledge and are still acquiring it. There are schools that are taught. There are books that are out there. There are societies, lodges, and covens that you can belong to and gain this kind of knowledge.
Do a lot of people use this power even though they're not aware they're using the power? In other words, I suppose in some ways we're all powerful spiritual beings, and if you're really going after somebody to ruin them, to hurt them, to in some way harm them or theirs, their family, even if you're not consciously doing it spiritually, you're still promulgating some sort of force, aren't you?
Yes, if you have a talent and you can concentrate and focus your attention like a laser beam and direct it to a negative, it's going to manifest. And that's what we call the average talented person that on a subconscious level is performing magic.
All right, so this is why you set up a shield before you begin the real operation.
That is correct. There is a preparation before doing a ritual.
And exactly how do you protect yourself? How do you set up the shield? How do you do that?
Well, the first thing that you're going to do is naturally cleanse your environment. Then you are going to cleanse the instruments that you are going to use on your altar or in your temple.
One step at a time. How do I cleanse the environment? How's that done? I'm really going after the nitty-gritty here.
Yes. Well, okay, what you can use is an herb, like an holy herb or an archangel. You can also use a sulfur, which is a purifier, You can use sea salt. You can use black salt. All of that will help to cleanse your environment. You can also use sage, and that too will remove negativity from your environment. Then the next thing you're going to use is a blessing herb, an anointing or an altar oil, where you are going to consecrate the area that you are going to use to perform your ritual in.
So then if I were to tell you that I have for years now found little balloons full of black salt around my house in corners, you wouldn't be surprised about that?
Not at all. It's supposed to be there, along with maybe a little bit of five-finger grass, or maybe some Bodo leaves, or even some rosemary. And you know what's so good about rosemary, Art? Not only can you use it as an herb to sprinkle in the corners of your home for protection, but you can grow rosemary outside of the home.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Evelyn, hold on. We're already at the bottom of the hour. Further warning for you. We are talking about witchcraft, in some cases pretty dark witchcraft tonight, so if it offends you, tune out. Don't sit there just seeing how offended you can get before it's all over. Tune out now. This is a subject we are going to cover. So, that's the warning. Do as you will. Dr. Evelyn Paglini is my guest. Evelyn, welcome back.
Thank you.
By the way, do you know that it's true that if you put black salt in little balloons, that it eventually breaks down the little balloons, and so what you have after about 2 months is a little pile of black salt and a broken down balloon?
Yes.
This is just one of the ways that you can set up a shield of protection. Now, does that mean that if somebody is psychically attacking you, that it's going to be just sort of like a Star Trek shield? It's going to bounce off this shield and not affect you. That's the idea?
That is correct. Now, you can add a mirror or a reflection, or what we call a boomerang. So therefore, if it is being sent to you, it is repelled back to the sender. Now, that's another ritual, but that also is another form of a shield of protection.
That takes a ritual to do it, though, huh?
Yes. It's not that difficult.
Is it a specific thing, or is it a general thing? In other words, once you set up, or once you do a ritual for this boomerang or mirror or whatever it is it specific to the one trying to harm you, or is it general? Is it against all harm that might come your way?
If you know of a specific person who is sending you a negativity, then naturally you would want it specifically sent back. But you can also do one that is a general protection.
But it would be stronger, I would presume, if it was specific.
Absolutely. And if you made an effigy of the individual and it also included sympathetic and imitative magic, then you have even more an established link.
All right, so far this sounds like defense. All defense. Even if you're mirroring it back to whoever's doing it to you, it's still, in my way of thinking, in the category of defense.
Yes, it's psychic self-defense.
But I suppose the mirror system is getting close to, like, SDI that a lot of people complain about. All right, I've got a lot of questions from listeners, and I'm going to sort of pepper them in this morning. Somebody asks, and I suppose this will offend somebody, but the regular clergy, priests and bishops and people high up in the church, are they, in effect, using some aspects of magic? Even though consciously they're not doing the kind of rituals that you do, are they, in effect, exercising the same realm?
Yes, they are, and depending on what level of church they belong to, there are certain, let's say, Luciferian traditions that are being practiced.
Yes.
Very definitely.
Yes, I'm told by people who know that within the Catholic Church at the top there may be such practices that go on, practices held secret for more years than we can contemplate. You believe that to be true?
Yes, I know it to be true.
Another widely held belief is that This comes from Bob in Denver, but a lot of people believe it. If you do not believe in it, in the magic, in whatever is being done to you, if you just simply say, what a pile of steaming dung, then it cannot possibly harm you.
That would only be correct if that person was in balance and possibly in what they consider to be a state of grace. But the average person out there, no matter where they're at and where the practitioner is at, can be touched, affected, and reached. And they don't have to know.
So a simple disbelief, I mean, that's said about voodoo and has been for years. You don't believe in it, can't harm you. If you do believe in it, you're dead.
Well, that's true, but they also have been able to affect people thousands of miles away who not only did not know about it, but also did not believe in it, and yet it still worked.
So then voodoo is real?
Voodoo is real. Every magical practice is real. The intent of the practitioner, the knowledge and the power of that practitioner is what's going to define the result he gets.
Gotcha. All right, so then the kind of magic that you practice probably wouldn't be pursued by too many people because they would suggest that the power itself, used in the way you say it can be used. I'm not suggesting you use dark magic all the time, because I know you don't, but I know you can and have. So, not too many people would pursue it because they would consider it to be from the power derived from the dark side as opposed to the Christian God.
I can understand that, Art, because, again, that is a fear of the unknown. They don't have the knowledge. They haven't taken the time to study. It's a discipline, and it takes years to understand and to master. And so they would stay away from it, and the more they stay away from it, the only people who gain that power
are the people who use it.
Who use it and pursue it.
Yeah.
And so if you don't understand it, see, knowledge is a double-edged sword. If I have the power in order to protect you or to heal you, then I also have the power to destroy you. Same principle, same energy.
Same source of power?
Same source of power.
So in other words,
power is neutral. The power is neutral. It is my intent. If I call upon the forces or the elements, and I can use, let's say they take the element of earth. All right, you can use it for prosperity. You can use it for strength. You can use it for so many positive things, and yet you can also destroy a person using earth power and the force of it. So what you're doing is tapping into a vibration and an energy and a force, and you, as the practitioner, are doing the directing. Now, you did some experiments, Art, remember?
I've done many experiments. You refer to...
The experiments with your audience.
Oh, those experiments, yes.
And you watched them come to fruition.
To the point where it scared the hell out of me, yes.
Now, that was the directing of a collective consciousness and a force and an energy to accomplish a specific purpose.
One that I had no understanding of whatsoever. I've been getting a lot of emails lately, Evelyn, asking me to provide rain for Florida, where there is now a severe drought. I've been contemplating this for some time. Don't send me more emails. I'm thinking about it. I'm afraid of this. It's power that I don't understand. I've seen it work now again and again, as you well know. But I don't understand that power, and it's kind of like operating a complex piece of electronics without having read the manual.
That's correct.
You can really make some serious, very serious mistakes. I know I've done it. Who the hell needs a manual? Try it first, and then if all else fails, read. So I've made some big mistakes. And when you're tampering around with the weather and something on this scale, using the power of millions of people, perhaps, it's like I haven't read the manual.
Yes, but again, if you have a positive outlook, if you are going for a positive outcome, you're going to receive that. If you bind down the action not wanted, meaning I do not want flooding to occur, I do not want harm to anyone. You have to, in ritual, bind down an action not wanted because there's always the positive and the negative. So as long as you concentrate and focus your attention, as well as your audience's attention, to the positive aspect of what you're trying to accomplish, that's what you're going to receive.
Okay. I'm going here to clarify something so that we all understand, so there's no mistaking what we're talking about here, Evelyn.
Yes.
A priest would tell you that the power he has, the prayer that succeeds of the prayers that he makes for people comes from God.
Yes.
Now, I heard you just say a little while ago the power of the earth.
Mm-hmm.
How do you delineate between the power of earth and the power of God, or is there any difference?
If you take the ultimate aspect, it is all an expression of the God's force because he created everything. But there are natural forces that you tap into, like the elements of earth, air, fire, and water.
Right.
And you can use those elements, those forces and energies, and direct them. Just like you can use the moon, the waxing or the waning moon, in order for you to affect a change. That's what magic is. Magic is the fact that you are manipulating energies and vibrations and forces.
These are natural, and of course, the wind is a natural force. The rain is a natural force. Tornadoes, I guess they're all natural forces, right?
Correct. So if you're directing them and manipulating them, then you are causing them to affect something, to influence something, to make a change.
The sun, it's a force?
Yes. And there's many cults out there that are solar cults as well as lunar cults, because what they do is they rely on or tap into that force and energy and use it.
So this is literally as ancient as these bodies, the earth, the sun, the moon, the other bodies that are there, the other planets. Yes, it's as ancient as those planets, and probably not quite that ancient because, of course, we haven't been around that long, I guess. We came after the planets came. So as soon as we were able to begin to see these things, we began to work them and use them and realized they were a force.
That is correct.
Huh. So, all right, back to where we were. After you have protected yourself through whatever means, the ones we discussed, if you were going after someone for something they had done, I assume it's a. I think the cops call it a clean shoot. We'll call it a righteous action. It doesn't matter. The point of the matter is you're acting sort of in self-defense.
Correct.
And so you're going after somebody, and you're going to make them sick, you're going to ruin their life, you're going to take their job, you're going to cause their personal life to fall apart, you might even kill them.
Yes.
All of that possible?
Yes, all of it. You could put a curse on them, a spell on them, or you can immobilize them. You can also cause them disease. You can cause them to commit suicide. There are untold numbers of actions that can be performed. How far do you want to take it?
Well, that pretty much covers the gamut, actually. But how would you do this?
Let's take, for instance, I know the person who is doing something to me. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make an effigy. That is something that is going to look like the person. That's why they call it imitative. Then, if I can acquire something that belongs to the person, like hair, fingernail parings, scrapings of skin, or let's say something that is worn close or in sympathy with the body. Now I have established a link so that when I am doing a ritual, I can focus my attention on the subject, and what I am sending is going to be received by that individual. Because I have harnessed my energy, I have called upon the cone of power, I have called upon maybe deities or forces in order to assist me in my work.
So, effigy, as in, for example, let's say, a photograph.
A photograph, a doll, an image candle, yes.
And then something from them, hair, scrapings of skin, fingernails, whatever.
Right. That's why Howard Hughes and other people, including, I believe, there's a culture like the Polynesians. There are so many who will not allow anything that belongs to them, to their body,
to fall into the hands of anybody else.
That is an enemy, correct. Because they know it can be used. I mean, this is across the international boundaries. It's across every culture and every religion. It doesn't belong to only one religion. This is knowledge that is universal.
So then, even somebody out there who is not into witchcraft,
right?
Would you say to that person, exercise caution, even if you don't believe in what you're hearing tonight and what I'm telling you? Keep your fingernail clippings. Don't let your hair get around. Take some basic precautions. It's not going to hurt your religious views at all, but it might save you.
Yes. You've heard of the evil eye. How many mothers out there, they have those beautiful children, babies in their carriage, and someone will come by and they'll say, oh, how beautiful your baby is. The mother immediately, especially if she's Christian, will make the sign of the cross because she does not want the evil eye or the melaleuca to be placed on that child.
What does that mean? What do you mean evil eye?
The evil eye comes from a person who has either vengeance or jealousy and wants that child or that family's parent, to suffer. And so what they will do is they will place a curse. They will place the evil eye on that child. And so that child will grow up to have nothing but mishaps. Or possibly, like I said, health problems.
Yes. Well, you see, that action, though, without motivation or without acting, in effect, in self-defense, to toss around that kind of magic, to throw the evil eye and to doom a child to a life of health problems or something awful, that really seems like it's coming from the dark side. I mean,
yes, it is. And it's not even done ritualistically. This is just intent.
Do you believe, Evelyn, in heaven and hell?
Yes, I do.
In God and the devil?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes, I do.
Are you convinced that all of the power that you derive with the actions that you take comes from God and not the devil? Or does it not matter? Is it just power, not God's power, not the devil's power, but power?
Depending on the realm you're in, I believe that all power comes from God. But I also believe that there is a power that evil has. And sometimes, or most times, God allows this evil to manifest. And so, therefore, yes, there is forces of nature that you can tap into. There is the divine force or the God force that you can tap into. But there are those who choose the left-hand path and would rather go into demonology, ceremonial ritualistic magic, where they are doing evocations and summations of demons and deities of the dark side.
Well, what's the difference between using the power of the sun, Evelyn, and using the power of God? Is the power of sun a neutral power? Is the power of sun a neutral power and different than the power of God?
Yes, because what you're doing is you're tapping into that force of the sun. And you are asking the divine force to help you to manipulate or use this natural force to gain the manifestation you desire. Most people that are on the left-hand side are not going to use the God force. They are going to use the dark force, the Prince of Darkness.
That one, how much do you know about that?
A lot. I'm a spiritual warrior, and a lot of times the things that I take on are beings and entities and demons of that nature. And sometimes I have to fight fire with fire. That's why I was trained the way I was. I am not squeamish. I will use anything at my command in order to destroy that which is a negative.
Do you know right away when you're up against the real dark side?
Oh, yes. There is a presence, there is an energy, a vibration, that when you are in that person's area or arena...
You know it.
The hair stands on the back of your neck.
I know. I know exactly what you're talking about.
They're dead.
Dead eyes. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Soulless.
Perfectly possessed, actually. Hold on, Evelyn. We're at the top of the hour. We're talking with a witch. I'm Art Bell. Stay right there. Once again, back to Dr. Evelyn Paglini. Welcome back, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Evelyn, I know what you are. I have no questions in my mind about that, but I do know that when I was soliciting years ago for a witch, the Wiccans called me in force and emailed me in force and said, "You're out of your mind. There's no such thing. There are just Wiccans." And we will inevitably tonight get Wiccans who will call and take that line, that tack. They will say, "We are the only true witches. There's no witch as you described." I think I got cute. I used the broom riding cauldron stern witch, but the kind of witch that you are, they claim you're a fraud. You don't exist.
Well, those people I would really like to hear on air, only because I'd like to know their background and their history and their discipline. Because any true practitioner of any religion out there knows that you are dealing with a power, and that power can be used positively or negatively. Period.
I guess their belief system is you cannot use it negatively, right?
I can't believe that. I really can't. Not any true practitioner.
Yeah, but that is what the Wiccans generally think, isn't it? That you cannot use it negatively?
I'd like to hear it from them, from their lips, because I don't believe that.
You know you're going to hear it from them. We've done other shows where they've called.
They're going to say that they won't do harm, and rightfully so. That is their creed, that is their principle, that is their life's blood. But that doesn't mean they haven't got the knowledge. Just like you were talking about earlier, defensively, they can protect themselves and their loved ones. They don't choose to go out and harm someone, but if someone comes to them, they certainly do have the tactics, the technique, and the knowledge to defend themselves.
All right, let's talk about the kind of warrior you are. Let me set up a little scenario, and let's see if you could do it. Let's say that you wanted to harm someone, and let's say this person had not harmed you. Let's say that for whatever reason you decided you wanted to harm someone, make them sick, ruin their life, end their career, cause a divorce, cause a suicide, whatever. Could you do that?
Yes, sir, I could.
What would be the repercussions for you, and could you protect yourself against them?
If that person was innocent, and I deliberately went after them for no justification reason,
right,
then I would have a karmic payback. I would pay the price.
When?
Either in this lifetime or in my evolutionary soul lifetime. Because the soul and the spirit is eternal, and you will pay for what you do.
Do you think, I mean, we see a lot of people in this lifetime that are having terrible lives, Evelyn, and not all of them, certainly, are under present psychic attack. Is it possible that some people who are having awful lives, terrible luck, terrible illnesses, are paying for something that was done generations ago?
Yes, there's a very good possibility that karmically they are paying back for what they have done. Sometimes they will take on a malfunction or a disorder of the body in order for them to gain the ground of the soul. Not only how do they handle the disease that has been placed upon them, or the malfunction or the disorder, but how are they treating other people around them? Are they making them pay? So in other words, it is a growth cycle, and it can also be a karmic cycle.
Paul in Iowa asks, Evelyn, how can one whom is not a witch know whether or not they're under psychic attack from someone else? In other words, whether you're paying karmically for something that occurred long ago, or whether you're under a present psychic attack. How can you know?
Usually a psychic attack will come out of the blue. It will last for a specific length of time.
Oh.
It can be 5 years, 15 years, or it can be just, a few months. What is the intent of the practitioner? What are they trying to accomplish? And so you can, by looking at your own life, if you're seeing that you can't keep your head above water, that everything you touch is going by the wayside, that you are being hit from every side, most likely you have someone who is sending this to you. And what you need to do is a cleansing and a protection.
So it would come on all at once. It would be disastrous, as opposed to a karmic repayment that would perhaps
that would usually be in one arena.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. No.
So you'd be hit from all sides.
When people want you, they want you in every aspect of your life. They want to break you.
And so it would be coming at you from every direction.
Yes.
Everything in your life would be falling apart, including yourself, probably.
Right. You in your listening audience, and I have permission from this one person, I have thousands of testimonials in the 5 years of helping people from your show.
Yes.
I have one man who had a curse placed upon him from a South African voodoo priest. Not only was he fighting demons in the night where he could not sleep, but he had a growth that was on his back. Mm-hmm. He was in his late 50s, and his life for the last 20-some-odd years had been hell. When I got involved with him, not only did we remove the curse, give him his sleepless nights, take away the growth on his shoulder, but I also increased his love life, where now he's married and just recently had a child.
Yeah, now see, that's practical magic. You really did that.
I have the testimonial, signed affidavit from this man.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it at all.
And that's one of thousands.
Let's talk for a second about evil. I was sort of, I guess, asking myself and the audience and a lot of people. We had a school shooting down in San Diego that I know you're aware of recently, horrible one.
Yes.
And there's a lot of that sort of thing going on. When I said earlier, I was born in June, the 17th of June of 45, and when I went to school, Evelyn, we didn't have that stuff going on.
Neither did I.
In today's world, we do. It's prolific. It's happening more and more and more. And I guess I wondered out loud if it was real evil at work in the world, real external, real evil, not just people making choices in their minds individually, although I guess that happens, but I mean real evil at work.
Yes, you have how do I put this? There are certain societies, organizations, lodges, etc., whose ultimate goal is the manipulation and control of the masses, the population. Mm-hmm. They are doing mind control and ritual to affect children as well as adults.
It's apparently working.
Very well. And on other scales, they are using it in order to control and manipulate the populace in big government, big organizations, big business. And they usually are doing it ritualistically and, unfortunately, at times, sacrificially.
Well, you would imagine an opposite force. I don't know what that would be. The clergy, maybe. The church, generally, as the force that would be fighting this. But looking around me right now, Evelyn, it looks to me like the dark side be a winning.
Unfortunately, this is the times that evil is, I would say, running rampant. Certainly personification of evil is rampant. It's showing its ugly head in more arenas than one.
And there's no way to know what the future holds, is there? As a general question, is evil going to continue to triumph? Is it going to go on for years or scores of years or hundreds or thousands of years? Or
Well, they certainly plan in the decades and the centuries. They are very heinous. They're not looking for the result of today. They are always looking to second, third, fourth generation. So I would have to say there is an increase of evil, there is an increase of manipulation.
so then you really think that this very real evil, these sort of blank-eyed children that are doing these horrible things that we've never seen in society before, that's being done ritualistically by secret groups.
That is correct. But what we also have going on is children of the light coming in. They have the sensitivities and the talents of old. They have precognition. They are able to foresee the future. They have sensitivities. They are able to speak with the dearly departed. In other words, there are children coming in with phenomenal talents.
I've been told that by many.
And what's happening is because they are now being taught properly with a good discipline and a good balance, they're going to kind of level the playing field for all of those others that are being manipulated and used by the dark forces.
So this is a war.
It has always been.
A war.
Always. Since the beginning of time.
So there's a sort of a small picture, an individual picture, and there's a very much a larger picture, but it's all wielding the same sources of power?
Correct. They just will call upon different forces or entities or demons. They will use specific ritual in order to enhance or gain more power so that they can use that power against us.
Well, maybe that's one reason why our government doesn't want any more of this, doesn't want to sanction any of this as religious belief, because, frankly, they fear it.
Yes, the Wiccans out there are teaching everyone how to get the edge on the future, how to protect themselves, and how to get back into nature and the elements that we have gotten away from. We live in a concrete jungle, and what's happened is we have become immune. We have lost our humanness, and in so doing, we have lost our spirituality. What we're trying now to gain is to raise our level of consciousness, to cross the threshold of enlightenment, and to realize that we are all divine spiritual beings only here to experience humanness.
Diane in Sacramento, California asks, how can I remove a spell or a curse from me when the person that put it there is dead?
I've done that several times, and so, again, what you are doing is because specifically she knows who the person was. You are still going to be able to reach the spirit, entity, or soul of that person, and you are asking them, okay, in ritual, to take back. In other words, they are going to reabsorb that which they have sent. So again, you can do a reversal, and that reversal will go back to the spirit or the soul of that person who sent it.
All right, so the fact that they've passed from the physical plane doesn't make any difference.
Not at all. They are eternal.
All right. Ken in Loveland, Colorado asks, can I do anything to stop this pedophile without an effigy? I cannot obtain personal items from him.
Well, then the only thing he has going for him is instead of sympathetic, he has imitative. And again, with good, strong visualization and the techniques of calling into forces, yes, he can stop a pedophile. He can cause him to be found out and incarcerated.
Uh-huh. All of that can be done even without the hair or the fingernail clippings or whatever.
It's the practitioner. If they're good enough, he's been had.
If somebody wants to begin to practice in the realms that we're talking about this morning, how long will it take before, if they begin a systematic pattern of study, how long will it take before they can reasonably begin exercising power?
Quite honestly, Art, at level 1 immediately. With a little bit of knowledge, immediate results can be done. When you're getting into something that is greater, naturally the discipline and the knowledge of other forces, entities, and beings should be done. The opportunity of knowing how to create a familiar or a thought form, where to infuse it, how to send it, how to have it on a time release. That's all discipline. But the average person out there, like I'm teaching, I'm giving them the edge on the ability to change their lives as well as to protect their family and their loved ones. Yes, that can be done immediately.
You mentioned familiar. And I know you were on the line before I brought you up in the first hour of the program. You heard me read something about cats.
Uh-huh.
And you remember they say, put the cat's ears back, hold them back, and look at that cat. That cat looks exactly like an alien gray. I mean, they do look exactly like alien grays when you put their ears back. Now, cats are familiars. What's special about a cat? Why is a cat an interesting or powerful familiar?
Well, first of all, the cats have been used since ancient times as watchers, as guardians, as sensitives. But they have also been used by the dark forces, where they will be infused with the spirit of a negative and sent out to do the practitioner's bidding, whether it be to spy, whether it be to bring on negativity or to bring on sickness.
So you're using the cat as a vehicle for an evil or negative force.
Correct. Now, you can use any animal, and you can use an inanimate object.
I understand, but why is a cat particularly...
Because of its agility, its cunningness, its sensitivity, its heightened spirituality.
Interesting. So you could imbue a cat with a negative force that would then be sent to somebody, for example, that you wanted to get very sick with some sort of fatal illness, let us say.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That and any other animal.
That's really interesting. That's really interesting.
Most of the times the cat will be used for protection, okay, as a watcher,
yes,
as a warning, because of their heightened sensitivities.
You began all this when you were 4 years old.
I was initiated at 4 years old. That is correct.
How did that work? What do you mean, initiated?
I was brought before a board of elders. I was sponsored by my grandfather. I had a scepter placed in my mouth. And from that point forward, I was disciplined in the old traditions of Wicca, of the Italian Strega Wicca.
Remarkable, remarkable. How old are you now, Evelyn?
Art, I am close to your age.
Are you really?
Yes, I am.
I'm 50.
I've been around a long time.
I'm 50. I'm 55, so you're pretty close, huh?
Yes, I am. I founded the International Psychic Center in 1972, so that gives you some idea.
It gives me some idea, indeed. All right, we're at the bottom of the hour, Evelyn. Hold on, we'll be right back. Here's another question for you, of worry to a great number of people who will be listening this morning, would be the conversation we had just a little earlier about secret groups of people who are promulgating evil on society, and causing these terrible things to begin to happen, Evelyn.
Yes.
And the question from Media, Pennsylvania, that's interesting, I went to school there, I lived in Media, is the people that we're talking about here are trying their best to stamp out goodness, you could put it that way, he does, because they hate goodness, because it reminds them, he says, of what they once were and had and lost or should be innocent. In other words, they basically hate themselves. Is that fair? Do you think that's what the motivation is?
I would say that maybe 30 or 40% of those people would fall in that category. But when you are talking about ceremonial, ritualistic magic, blood sacrifices, that is not their intent. Their intent is to manipulate and to control the masses. Mm-hmm. And they will call upon any deity, any being that will give them that kind of power and knowledge.
But I guess, he's saying that, in effect, they're doing this because they have lost any goodness they once had.
That is correct.
And they, in effect, hate themselves and hate the world.
I wouldn't say they hate themselves and they hate the world. They have an agenda. And that agenda is much more powerful than their fear of not being human anymore. They've given that up a long time ago. You have bloodlines and lineages that go back thousands of years, and their agenda is to control the world and you. They're not worried about not being human anymore.
Well,
they've already given their
they're well on the way. So if there's a war out there right now, as I said, I think we're having about as much luck with it as we are the drug war. Harold in California asked, I was under the belief that animals did not have souls. So how could they have higher spiritual awareness?
Because everything that has been created by the God force has an essence and a spirit. That spirit can be used and manipulated. Everything.
Do you agree with the contention that animals do not have souls?
No, I do not. I believe they do.
All right. What if you take, Evelyn, something in a grayer area? We've tended to be talking about extremes. Somebody who would rape your child is an extreme. Suppose we took something in a far more gray area, like Rose from Arizona says we have a very bad neighbor. Now, this neighbor may have not done anything specifically at Rose, but it's just, a lot of people have bad neighbors from hell, right?
Yes.
Would it be karmically correct to do a spell to cause them to move? That's a far grayer area. If this person has not done you harm, but you just, don't like them. You don't want them living next to you anymore.
Yes, you can do that.
Is that karmically dangerous?
No, it's not, because you're not wishing them harm. You can send them to a better area, a better home, a better job, a better life. You're just removing them from your atmosphere.
So witchcraft is effective in these gray areas without damage to the originator?
Absolutely.
What about things that are thought to be magical, like Ouija boards, for example? That's what most of the American public has heard of, a Ouija board. They know what it is. Is it really into this area? Is it really magic, or is it just sort of a conduit?
It's a conduit. You are tapping into your unconscious mind. You are also tapping into the ethereal, and therefore you may be opening up the door and getting more than you bargained for. You may get a low entity spirit that will, in the beginning, give you a lot of good and solid and grounded information, but slowly but surely will send you in another direction. I don't like to see people play with Ouija boards.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's like not having read the manual.
Correct.
So you could, though, use a Ouija board with sufficient knowledge safely, positively.
Yes, you can. Again, if you have the discipline.
But it's not something you'd recommend for...
For the average person out there, no. It's just like the same thing, don't have a seance. Because what you're doing is you're opening up the door to any spirit or entity out there. And if you don't know what you're doing, again, you don't know what you're liable to receive.
How much work is there if you have protected yourself and you're going after someone to harm them? Mm-hmm. How much work is there to do ritualistically to achieve that goal?
Quite a bit, depending on the practitioner, depending on the person you're going after. What is their talent? In other words, do they come from a specific discipline? And so, therefore, you have got to make sure that you have a strong enough barrier and guard and reinforce it, because otherwise you can be hit.
But it's something that, I mean, would it, to go after somebody, to make them ill or even kill them, would you have to work at this all day long, every day? Is this a full-time job, Evelyn, or is it something, a ritual you do and then walk away from and it just happens? Or give me, I don't need...
All right, if you're talking about me, I may do a ritual 2 to 3 times, depending on what it is I'm going after. In other words, one time may not get it. And so I've said this to my students a lot of times. If I want you, you're mine. Because I won't get off of you. I won't get done until I finish and get accomplished what I want.
Uh-huh.
Now, there are other people that will just do one little ritual because they're doing something that is not that big. In other words, they're going to try to gain some success, attract a lover or a mate, okay, or remove a person that is standing in your way of a job or getting that mate. Mm-hmm. So that can be done usually in one ritual, sometimes two. Again, what am I facing, and is that person's mind very strong? And am I doing the ritual at the right time? Most people try to do a ritual, when they have a good energy. But what they must also understand that the person that they're trying to receive this energy, the best time to reach them is after midnight and before 5 a.m. in the morning, because that person's in repose. You're getting into their psyche a lot quicker than if you were doing a ritual during the day.
Oh, that absolutely figures. Somehow it figures.
That's why I don't open up my altar till after midnight.
If you are in a battle with somebody using force on the other side, you're in a life and death battle, aren't you? I suppose, like in real life, it doesn't happen that often. Cops don't end up using their guns, some of them ever in their career. They never draw their gun except to practice. So it doesn't probably happen all that frequently, but if you really get in a psychic battle with somebody, it's a life and death battle, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Have you been in such battles?
More than once.
Well, you're still here, so I presume someone else isn't.
That is correct. I have taken on Satanists, I have taken on voodoo priests, Haitian voodoo, South African, you name it. It's been done.
How many of your students, Evelyn, progress into the kind of areas of knowledge that would be required to do these kind of battles? How many of your students, percentage-wise, progress that far or even want to?
I would have to say a good 25%. Sometimes more. It depends.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a dedication out there where people are realizing that they have gained knowledge and power, and now what they want to do is they want to help their fellow man. In other words, they want to level the playing field. Mm-hmm. So they will take the time, and it is years, of knowledge and dedication to acquire what we call a mastership.
What is the difference in power between a single person operating as you might yourself in a circumstance and a coven?
Well, again, it is the force of numbers. In other words, you can collectively, as you did with your audience, train that person and persons to direct their energy at a specific objective. And you're going to have a lot more power and manifestation quicker because you have collectively the people to do it.
And you're telling me that, for example, if you wanted to bring rain to the drought-starved areas of Florida, you could do it without harm.
Yes.
It could be done without harm.
Yes.
Because we did that, for example, in one area in Texas that was drought-starved, and they ended up with floods. That caused me pause.
Only because you didn't bind down the action not wanted. You didn't say, I want enough water, okay?
I know, and it's true, I didn't. I said, let's make it rain.
It rained.
It sure did.
It's the same thing, like if you're going to create a familiar, what you're going to do is specifically say you are going to be in existence for this length of time, and then you are going to dissolve. The same thing with ritual. You are going to accomplish this ritual, but you are going to bind down an action not wanted. Again, double-edged sword. Mm-hmm. Everything has two sides to it. So you get both sides. You must make sure you bind down what you don't want, and then you can proceed.
All right. Here's an interesting question. It's suggested that George W. was a member of Skull and Bones at Yale.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yes, I've heard that too. Is that why he wants to outlaw, if he could, or to remove the religious exemption, I guess, that the Wiccans have? In other words, he knows enough about it, not from his own background, to know what he's facing?
Yes. You want to eliminate anyone who has the same kind of knowledge and power that can defeat you or alter your objectives. And that is what the modern Wiccan and the modern people who practice magic are doing, thank God.
What is the difference, if there is one, between what we commonly call a soul and a spirit? Are they one and the same?
They have been interchanged by people of, I would have to say, knowledge, only because they're trying to explain that there is a soul which is eternal, and then there is an essence or a spirit. It's like when you have a haunting. Mm-hmm. You're not going to have the soul of the person. You're going to have the spirit or the essence of the person that has remained earthbound.
Oh, that reminds me of a question I really want to ask you. I do a great deal with ghosts, as you know.
Yes.
And I talk a lot about ghosts. And Evelyn, somebody brought something up to me that I had never in my life considered before, and that was that you can have hauntings, not only of those who have passed from the physical, but you can actually have hauntings of living people that, for example, somebody who lived, let's say, in a house for 30 years suddenly moves. Somebody else moves into the house. Well, believe it or not, there's a haunting that goes on, but it's by the remains, the only way I can think of it, spiritual remains of that person who is still alive.
Yeah, I've
heard walking across the floors and doing what ghosts do, that sort of thing, that something about them remains behind. Even though they're still alive, it remains behind, acting as a ghost would act, the normal ghosts that we think about, people who passed on.
Yes. Their spirit, their essence has remained. That is why I've always suggested people when they move into a new home or a new apartment that they cleanse it. There's the old saying, walls have ears. Well, if you've had a lot of sickness in a home, if you've had an awful lot of anger and fighting and arguing, what happens is that residue stays within the walls. The next people who move in, especially those who are highly sensitive, are going to be affected by it. And so a cleansing is always necessary when you move into any place that is new.
Well, that's really interesting. So then you shouldn't just consider whether some old fellow hung himself from the rafters in the house you're about to buy. You ought to consider whether the couple who lived there was ripping and tearing at each other and fighting and throwing things and cursing each other the whole time they lived there. That would be...
Ooh, a tremendous energy field. That is negative, and it will cause you to have arguments, sleepless nights, uneasiness, uncomfortability.
Wow.
As well as sickness.
I never thought of any of that until you just now said it, but it does. If a living ghost makes sense, then everything you've said just makes sense.
It's the vibration and the energies that are left behind, yes.
That's why I like new houses, I think. I love moving into homes where nobody has lived before. That's what I did in the case of this house, and it's worked out very well. It's just our vibrations are here, and they've been 99% great ones. So I think there is something to that. But what about the ground upon which the house sits?
Oh, again, if you happen to have built a structure or a home on, let's say, a battlefield or an Indian burial ground, or where an awful lot of people that had died from a plague, you're going to get that essence, that energy back into that home. It makes no difference how much cleansing you do on the home. You have to appease the land. Otherwise, it's going to continue manifestation.
How would you do that with land? I mean, what would you do?
Depending on what is the cause. In other words, I did one in St. Charles, Illinois. There was an Indian burial ground. And what I did is I made an appeasement to the tribe it belonged to and borrowed some time for the people so that they could remove themselves from that home and sell it.
I know there are actual laws in some states where if a house has a history of haunting, it is required by law that you disclose to the buyer before they buy that that's the case.
Yes, because there is a reality to it. And there have been many lawsuits that have been won because that has not been informed.
I know. It seems incredible that a court could rule based on something like that, and yet they have. And yet there are actual laws on the books about all of this today. And
so it shows you it exists.
And they're enforced. Well, I know all of this exists. And I wonder how the audience is going to react. Those who have been listening, probably by now, Evelyn, are beginning to think, well, gosh, it does seem real. Magic is practical. Magic is powerful. Magic is real. And once you realize that, I guess it's gonna target a lot of what you believe, isn't it? Challenge a lot of what you believe?
Well, it will in the beginning until, again, you cannot get into nature and the elements without touching the spark of the divine, because God created all things. It is up to you whether you decide to use it black or white.
All right.
And, stop passing the buck to the devil. Take responsibility.
I got you. We're at the top of the hour. We'll be right back.
All right, we're going to begin taking phone calls now, and I'm going to let you talk to Dr. Paglini and ask what you will. It's been a pretty down and dirty session. There's no question about that. No question at all. So if you have questions in any range, why, come on ahead. There is one lighter range that I do want to touch on. You touched on it briefly, Evelyn, and that is love life.
Yes.
If you want somebody and they don't necessarily want you, can you get them anyway?
Yes, you can. Fortunately, what you do have to do is understand that you are forcing your intentions on an individual. And so, therefore, I don't recommend it. But can it be done? Yes. In fact, because of your listening audience, I have put a tape together, not only one, but two. One is the introduction to ritual, and the second is love rituals on tape.
Really?
And I also have the 5-hour crash course in the craft for those people who really want to become a student of the craft.
The craft. The craft is, and we haven't really used that term until now. The craft is what it's called. I guess that's...
The craft of the wise. It means knowledge.
Maybe it's a nicer way to put it than witchcraft, I guess. But yes. It's all one and the same. The craft. All right, so you actually have a crash course in the craft.
Yes, a 5-hour crash course in the craft beside the introduction to ritual, which is a must, and also love rituals on tape. So they want to know how to bind a person to them, how to attract a mate, how to bring more peace and harmony within their own family or in their marriage. It's all there. Step-by-step instructions.
Well, Evelyn, if I go back to when I was, say, 19 or 20 years old, I remember being, obsessed with some certain women, to the point where I guarantee you I'd have twirled around 20 times and done homage to the sun if I could have drawn a certain woman to me. I mean, absolutely no question about it. I know that I would have done it. It would not have mattered, Evelyn. I'd have gone for it, period, if I knew how to do it. And I was not much different than a lot of people are today.
Yes. And I know that one person who loved you very much, Ramona, okay, did a spell on you.
I know she did. I know she did.
So it's wonderful if two people have an energy together, and what you want to do is enhance it. You want to increase the passion, and you want to make the connection.
Gotcha. All right. If people want to really know these things, if they really want a crash course in the craft, if they want to know how to bind people to them in love, and all the rest of it, what do you charge for these tapes? How do they get them? What's the number? Whatever.
Well, first of all, the number is 818-783-2995.
2995.
Now,
okay.
we have a link to your website, so they can also go up to www.mysticalblend.com.
All right.
And also they can write to me at Paglini.
Oh, let me get this down. Paglini, that's Paglini.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
At P.O. Box 57932.
Uh-huh.
Sherman Oaks, California, 91413. Also, I have a catalog.
Wait a minute, I'm not that fast. Give me the zip code again.
91413.
All right. People are always scrambling in the dark for a pencil, and they always raise hell with me later. I need that number. I need that address. All right. The number is area code 818-783-2995. Now, is that a daytime number mostly or what?
Well, I would prefer to have it during office hours, but there is somebody there now in case they have some questions and would like to order some of the tapes.
There's somebody there now?
Yes.
All right. Again then, area code 818-783-2995. And the address is Paglini, 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 P.O. Box 57932, Sherman Oaks, California, 91413. That's where my company is then, Sherman Oaks.
Yes.
Sherman Oaks, California, 91413.
Also, there is a catalog that has an awful lot of information and instructions in it. And if those people would like to request a catalog, the only thing I would ask them to do is place $1 in for postage and handling,
right?
And I will send them out a free catalog.
Okay. Plain brown wrapper?
If they instruct me to do so, absolutely, and several have.
All right, here we go. First time caller line, you're on the air with Evelyn Paglini. Hello.
Hello, I'm from northern Illinois, and let me kind of explain what I've been doing lately.
Sure.
Pardon me. I've been kind of researching local satanic cults. I am not satanic, or I've not practiced magic or anything. I do have a couple of friends that were into it and such, which is how I was able to...
Why were you researching it?
It's something that's fascinated me, for a long time. I mean, I don't know if that's...
okay.
If just about everybody, wonders about it, but I'm kind of into that thing, especially things that get into the inner psyche. Now, I've been doing a lot of research, like I said, on the different areas where they practice, different symbols and such. And there's one spot where this specific cult practices quite often. And I've been going in there. I had taken a break from going there for a while. But I go in there and kind of to let the woods there know me. This takes back in some private woods. And I kind of let the woods know me. Now, Dr. Paglini, I don't know if you're familiar with what I'm talking about when I say watchers.
Yes, very much so. I had mentioned it earlier.
Okay. Unfortunately, I didn't get to hear that. Now, the watchers, when I first started going there, kept a close eye on me. Now, they pretty much, I can, really, I'm good at sensing that, and they've kind of, left me alone the more I go back there and lately and such. But, now, as I've been getting further into it, I've been going into more and more places, and I've been invited tomorrow night to go and watch this cult practice?
Oh, brother.
Well, what ritual practice are they going to perform that you're going to?
I honestly do not know much about it.
He did say it's a satanic cult, though.
Yes. Yes, I have a friend that invited me to come along there tomorrow night. He hasn't been there for a while. He says that tomorrow night we can go back there. There is one concern that I do have, though.
You probably should have many, but go ahead.
Definitely, but well, like I said, the watchers really haven't been giving, haven't really been watching me much. I mean, I've shown friends around where I'm at. Like when I drive my truck back to the area, I've taken one of my other friends who's Wiccan along in the woods with me to see what he can sense. And I also have a friend that has bloodlines back to the Aztec Empire, and I take him back to see what he can sense. Now, I generally need somebody in the vehicle to keep it running, and, they've told me that they've seen the watchers watching them.
What is your ultimate question? Should you be doing this, or should you be staying far away? What's your question?
I have, that is the one question there, and I was also kind of wondering as well, in the last several days, as I've been getting extremely heavy into the research, and I visited a couple of very intense sites 2 days ago, I have not had dreams for years. I pretty much have a fear of nothing. I fear nothing, but yet it's almost as if, like tonight when I was walking to my doorstep, I felt like I was being watched, and I've been having extremely intense dreams the last several nights.
Well, what they're doing is they are reaching you on your psyche level, on the astral plane. So just because you are being watched here with eyes of the physical doesn't mean that they are not keeping track to you on the astral.
Okay.
I would be very leery about attending any sacrifices or ritual that are done by the satanic organizations or any other organizations out there, because you're really opening up yourself to an awful lot. I mean,
you got that?
So this is not something to get involved with unless you're extremely serious and you have an awful lot of protection around you.
Well, he kind of painted himself as at first as an impartial investigator, but quite obviously he's on the cusp of being accepted into this group, and he's obviously contemplating joining it. So, as satanic cult, I would say, look out. I'm sure you'd say the same thing.
Absolutely. That's what I said. It's too serious. It's not something to be played with.
No. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Dr. Evelyn Paglini. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Where are you?
Well, this is Eric calling out of Gresham.
All right.
Called a few times before, searching soul, and Evelyn, frankly, it's nice to speak with you.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. First of all, one of my questions would be regarding love.
Yes, sir.
And I happen to be in a position where my wife is solidly grounded on Earth, so to speak, if you understand that whole thing. I am more of a Cloud 9 soul. We're trying to find the connection between us, where we both love each other with a deep passion. But I listen to Art Bell, and she doesn't. Or
that marriage is over.
Well, I hope not. Honestly,
just kidding, you, sir. I'm just kidding.
I'll still listen to you.
I'm just kidding.
But my first question is basically, Evelyn, how does one actually reach another to see eye to eye? And I know you don't have all the answers to the universe, but
no, it's a really good question.
But in my love rituals and tape, there is a point where it states there, if you want to increase the marriage vows and the energy between two people, you can first use red image candles, because that's your passion.
Right.
All right, that's your vitality and your sex and your energy. Then you would graduate into pink, which is love. And so therefore you're going to establish a binding connection between the two of your essences or your souls. And therefore, even though you may have idiosyncrasies and different appetites, that doesn't mean that you will not meet together on a loving plane of existence.
Loving plane of existence, is that, refer to, one being the real world, one being
there
more
will
of the
be a happy medium.
philosophical world?
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah.
She just said it. There'll be a happy medium.
My other question is that how does the Native American philosophical, let me just put it real quickly, Don Juan Matuis, written by Carlos Castaneda.
Right. Excellent series.
Very heavy magic medicine.
Yeah, excellent series. I recommend it.
Oh, I'm glad you say that, and you didn't hesitate a bit.
Not at all.
And obviously,
I wanted to say what I was saying, Rampa. The Rampa series. Excellent.
Yes, and quite frankly, it should be mandatory reading for anybody who wants to claim to go into magic, which I don't claim. I'm just one who is searching for power, and I'm looking deep inside and wanting a little help. That's all.
Well, you have an immediate goal, and it sounds like you have a way to get there, sir. I appreciate your call. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
Yes, hello?
Hi there.
Hi. Oh, okay, this is a little nerve-wracking, but,
Where are you?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in Kentucky.
Okay.
Okay. Here's the deal. It's kind of like a tea-leaf clover. First of all, there is somebody that I'm extremely concerned about. I decided to call when I heard you mention something like this before. But first, if I don't mention some of this other stuff about me, Art will probably say, well, why didn't you tell us? That's neat stuff. So I will. I'll go real quickly and just throw a few things about me, and maybe Evelyn will kind of pick up on my personality, how maybe I can help this other person through this. Okay, on me, in my life, a couple of people have said, you're a witch, and they'd say, oh, yeah? Well, that's interesting, whatever you say. That's kind of the attitude I have. I have like a little half-inch W in my left hand. 9 months from my birthday is Halloween, and, if you could pick out the things in your life, like if you pick when you were born and different things, these are all stuff I would have picked because I like the style. And it's sort of stuff that you would like, Art. For instance, I like hamburgers and meatballs and stuff. So I'm a lot less occult than, I'm actually more like you with a witch's hat on, maybe. But anyway, I was born a Leo, but in July, so I could have a red birthstone. In the year of the cat, I figured you'd like that. And then there's a song, which I think you would really like because you like the Moody Blues, and I hope you play it sometime, but I was born on a Tuesday afternoon. And there's,
we don't have a lot of time.
I know, that's what I meant. I just said the stuff about me to give everyone some idea of how maybe I could help the serious problem. Okay, there's a person that I'm very concerned with right now. It's like the apex of worry. And this is a person who has the gray, watery eyes, and I feel terrible for this person. And it's very important to help him because I don't know what's going to happen. But
what's wrong with this person?
Well, you said like the dead eyes. And this guy, yeah, and it's the reason I thought I'd throw some things in about me because, my description of a witch, if I am one, is somebody that lives by their wits.
All right, so if I understand correctly, you're wanting to help. Hold on a second. You're trying to help somebody who virtually is perfectly possessed.
I don't know if he's possessed, but he's very sick. I think he's struggling, to be good. But my God, this guy is so full of hate, and it's very important. And if everyone can pick up anything with my style, I pray a great deal. I believe very strongly in prayer.
All right, we're going to have to hold it there. Evelyn, boiling down because of lack of time here, obviously there's something very much wrong with this young man. She said the gray, dead eyes, that sort of thing. What can you do to help those kind of people, if anything?
Well, I'd have to have a little bit more information and see how he's expressing besides just the dead eyes. In other words, is there no emotion? Does he have no feeling? Does he have no regrets? I would have to know more in order to design a ritual that would affect him.
Assume all that's true. The worst case, in other words. Let's say he's got no emotions. Let's say that he's one of those seemingly soulless people Is there anything...
Yes, you can. You can get a white male image candle, and you can bring down a cone of power and reach his spirit and revitalize, rejuvenate, and enlighten it, and then remove any negativity or influence that is around him.
If you know what you're doing.
Right.
All right, so the
I
answer
will
is...
design the ritual for her, as she'd call me.
All right, so the answer is, even in the worst case, something can be done. I'm Art Bell, and this is Coast to Coast AM. Good morning. I have reason to know, personally, you are listening to The Real Thing this morning. You're listening to a witch, Dr. Evelyn Paglini. I guarantee you, the real McCoy. So if this kind of conversation bothers you, go away. I'll just leave it at that. And we'll avoid the phone numbers because they're ringing too hard as it is. I'm Art Bell, and this is Coast to Coast AM. Keep it planted right where you've got it. In order that I don't go out of my mind during the day trying to give people numbers and addresses, please listen carefully. I'm going to give the contact information for Dr. Paglini again. If you want a crash course in the craft, or if you want knowledge of how to bind somebody to you in love, or much more, I'm going to give you a phone number. Now, it's good right now because we're doing the show right now. Normally, though, business day type affair, right? The number is area code 818-783-2995. 818-783-2995. The address, snail mail, is Paglini, 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 simple, right? Paglini. P.O. Box 57932, 57932, Sherman Oaks, California. And the zip code there is 91413. 91413. That's the information, so please take it down. Dr. Paglini.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Well, wait a minute. A couple things. On my fast blast, a police officer from Louisiana, I don't want to identify where, asks, as a police officer, I'd like to know if your guest, if her abilities would be useful for crime scenes, and if true, would she be willing to help out?
Absolutely. I have a very large amount of my family in law enforcement, and they have called me in on cases repeatedly. I'll be more than happy to offer my assistance anytime I can.
Okay, and that contact number would serve. All right.
You can also email me at QEP@MSN.com.
Wait a minute. QEP?
Yeah.
At MSN.com?
Correct.
Okay. I'm going to get a lot of email. That's QEP@MSN.com. That's really simple. You simplified your address, haven't you? Or has it always been that?
No, that's always been. It's Question Evelyn Paglini. QEP.
QEP, that's cute. QEP@MSN.com. All right, good. One more. This is kind of a personal materialistic sort of thing, but that's what practical magic is for. Somebody asked, what about protection from government agencies like the IRS?
Yes.
Sprinkle rosemary on my 1040, maybe?
No, but you can use either Justice Oil or Prosperity Oil.
Prosperity Oil would be good with the IRS.
Yes.
Of course, you don't want them to be prosperous.
No, you want yourself to be.
Crystal,
so, yeah, absolutely. Any business transaction, any contract, absolutely. Partnerships, if you want to bind partners to you. I mean, some of the clients that I have, Art, I have got celebrities matched up with the directors. I've got writers going with producers and distributors. So,
really?
Yes, it can be done.
Okay, here we go back to the phones again. First time caller line, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Art.
Hi.
I was wondering if, I was practicing magic at one time, and my wife hated it altogether. She didn't actually, she made me leave the house, and, you know, I could not see my kids or anything. I was wondering if there's something I could do that would maybe get her into it and make her want to enjoy it and practice it more.
If you expose her, okay, to the personal power it develops, to the edge that it gives her to change not only her life but the lives of others around her, she will see the beauty in magic and not the fear of it. So yes, absolutely. And you could also do ritual personally using a pink image candle female in order for her to have better understanding of what you are trying to introduce her to.
People do fear what they don't understand.
Yes, they do, sir.
At one time she had got involved with me, but she said she didn't gain anything from it, so she just gave up.
I don't know what you were showing her, so I don't know how she did not gain.
Yeah.
In other words, maybe what you were exposing her to.
Scared her instead of informed her.
Okay, I thank you very much.
Right? Thank you very much and take care. Yeah, I can understand that in a family, in a relationship, if one person was heavily into the practice of magic and the other was not, you've got a real problem there, potentially, in fear, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But if you manifest positive action and results, they're going to see that there is truth to it.
All right, wild card line, you're on here with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
Hello there. I have quite a story here. I had found a young person back in January of 1997, and while I took this person to be either part feral or just some wild kid that was living
feral human?
Yes, living in my basement. Had been there for several years. At first, I didn't really believe it.
What?
Yes.
How old was this feral person?
At the time, he told me that he was 13 or 14. He was 14 at that time.
Holy smokes.
Yes.
You just found this person living in your basement?
Yes, I live in a rural area and I grow a garden, and I noticed my onions disappearing. He had been living off of raw onions and raw potatoes.
Where are you calling from, roughly?
Oh, I'm in southern Manitoba, Canada. I've spoken with you on the air in the past.
Oh, this is a new one on me.
Yeah, I didn't really bring this right out in the open to you, but...
I understand.
Yeah, well...
So you found this feral person when your onions were disappearing, this person living in your basement, and you did what?
Well, I didn't really know what to do at first. I tried coaxing him out of there and getting him to come up and see me and face me, and I caught a glimpse of him. He had long hair, long fingernails. And he was really afraid of me and afraid of everything. So yes. I spent a great deal of time trying to talk him out of there and, get him to come out. Well, that didn't succeed. I had remembered a phone call I'd gotten from some lady about 3 weeks before I found him. I mean, I'd heard some coughing and sneezing coming from down there. And this lady had asked me on the phone, she said, this person? And I said, no. She said, well, this person gave me your name as a reference. I said, really? Well, I don't have any kids, and I'm here alone. At least I thought I was. Mind you, I'd had some little experiences with funny things happening, and I thought, well, maybe it's just some of the relatives playing games with me or something. Anyway, that was in January of 1997, and in December of 1997, somebody had dropped off a stray cat. Well, there's a few other things that happened regarding that feral person and things, but they dropped off a cat, and this had happened in the past. I just happened to adopt this little cat. It was just a big kitten. 5 months to the day, exactly 5 months to the day, May 13th of 1998, I found this cat brutally smashed and mutilated, and it had definitely been tortured, and all the blood had been drained out of it.
Oh, my God.
I took a picture of it, but I never developed the film.
And who do you suspect did that?
Well, I really don't know, but I had...
Do you think your feral person did it?
Well, I think he may have been associating with some people that were involved in satanic practices. that are involved in satanic practices.
Boy, is this one over the top. Holy mackerel. I have never heard of a person discovering a feral person in their basement. Just out of curiosity, we only have so much time. What's happened to this person?
Well, that's what I still haven't found out. I don't know if he's passed on and there's still part of his ghost remaining, or if it's something...
In your basement?
I don't understand. One of my sisters has stayed in the house. She said she heard noises. She believed it to be a ghost. She said she heard the water running. She heard footsteps. And she wouldn't even admit this to me for the longest time. Other relatives have been believing that I've lost my mind. So I never talk about it.
All right, assuming that you haven't and that your story is as is, Evelyn, what do you advise somebody like this?
Right.
Well, all right. First of all, if there was satanic ritual going on that he was involved with, I could understand the dismemberment and the drinking of the blood. We had talked earlier about sacrifices of animal as well as human. And so that is very prevalent in many cultures and many religions. My feeling is, though, I do not believe that the young person that you had in the basement has passed over. I believe he's still around.
Whew. I know, but what does she do?
Well, first of all, because she has a person there, she's going to have to find that person and remove that person from her environment. Also, what she's going to have to see is if there is any structure, or if there's any, let's say she said she was in the rural area, so therefore an awful lot of ritual would be done in the woods. And so to me, I would make sure I called law enforcement and get them out there to see what is going on and see if that too can be either adjusted or removed. She should also do a cleansing as well as a protection around herself and her environment.
Whew. I've never heard anything like that. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
Yes, hello, sir.
Hi.
Always great to talk to you, Art.
Thank you.
Hi, Evelyn.
Hello.
My name is Keith, by the way, from Hamilton, Ontario.
Okay.
Before you were saying about people who have terrible lives, or specifically, maybe my case, bad luck, I think since I was 16, I can barely recall what a good day is. I've got perennial all-star Hall of Fame bad luck, seemingly on a daily basis. And I heard you also say, Art, it could be because of lineage of your past or forefathers. And I know my grandfather was a very bad person, but he was of Norwegian descent. And I prejudged myself like a spell against, let's say, maybe the Viking background. What do you do to get rid of it? It's phenomenal.
Well, again, it may not be a karmic deck. It may not be ancestral.
Yeah.
Okay? It also may be someone who has done it to you and has placed it upon you at an early age, and all it has done is it increases. It's like a domino effect. It feeds on its own energy. Once again, to break it is, I keep repeating myself, it's a cleansing.
Yeah.
Okay, and a reversal, and then putting up a shield of protection.
It's nice to hear somebody, like, be honest. I mean, like, most people don't usually say, oh, there's no such thing as good luck and bad luck. Again, if you're a Keith, you completely know what bad luck is. You know what I mean? And every day it seems to be a trigger about 6 or 7 events. You know, I'm a nice guy. I'd give the shirt off my back, yet it seems I always lose.
I would clean you, I would clean your environment, I would put up a shield of protection, and then after that has been done, then you can start doing an attraction ritual for love, prosperity, better business, etc. But the first thing to do is to cleanse you. It can be done. I've taken curses off that have been over 100 years old, so...
What's the best way to look into that?
818-783-2995.
I got that written down.
In other words,
then for the free catalog, there are so much information on the tools that can be used. I have so much detailed step-by-step instructions just in the catalog alone that anybody can go to any store, buy the equipment that is necessary, and perform the ritual.
And I have your name written down. It's a Paglini, Paglini?
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Art.
All right, thank you. In other words, knowledge in this area is power. absolute power, or absolutely power, I guess would be a better way to put it. And you're just going to have to find out what you can do. What if, Evelyn, what if it's not a specific curse? What if it's really heavy karma? Because that is going to be true sometimes, right?
Yes, it is. And you can lessen karma, all right, and you can transfer it to another incarnation. I don't always suggest that, but it can be done.
Is it supposed to be worked off as it's given to you?
Yes, it is.
I understand that, but I also understand what that man was saying. Nothing ever has gone right in his life.
I don't believe that's karma.
It's hard. Well, right, but it's hard to think ahead to the next lifetime. Things will be better in the next lifetime. That's hard to grasp. And so I understand people would want to shift it to another lifetime, and I think I also understand why that wouldn't be such a good idea. But in some cases, that might mean that you're just going to have a rough life.
Yes.
I mean, that's what you're here to go through.
You have made the choice, and that choice is the parents you came into, the environment, as well as the financial environment that affords you the opportunity to present to your soul choices.
Mm-hmm. All right. West of the Rockies, you are on the air with Dr. Paglini. Good morning. Hello?
Am I on the air?
Yes, you are.
Okay. This is Elise, and I'm calling from Arizona. And my question's for Evelyn. Is there a more complete ritual for eliminating this evil from your life outside of the rosemary and the black salt?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Once you're going into ceremonial and ritualistic magic, what you're going to be doing is calling not only in the forces and the elements, but you're also going to be calling down a cone of power. You can draw down the moon. In other words, the more that you bring into focus as tools, the more you can and the quicker you can remove a negativity or an evil. Stop it dead in its tracks.
Evelyn, does burning blue candles help them?
Burning what, honey?
Blue candles.
Oh, yes, blue, if it's dark blue, is protection. Light blue is healing. So make sure that the blue candle that you're burning, get it at like a cobalt blue. And that is excellent for protection. If you're having problems with the body and you want assistance in healing, light blue.
All right.
I have quite a story to tell, which maybe some other time, when you have more time, I'll tell us it.
In the meantime, pick your blue.
Okay, sure will.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. First time caller line, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
Hello, Art. This is Tony calling from Hopewell. I had a question for Dr. Paglini. So you don't have any training or haven't done any reading in magic whatsoever, but for the last, 2 years and 3 months, I've been burning outside whenever I cut my hair or clip my nails or even, any body proteins that I create with my body. I burn them.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been doing that for 2 years and 3 months. I don't know what the heck I'm setting myself up for.
Why have you been doing that?
I'm trying to, release the essence that would be in the protein into the local atmosphere of myself to get people sort of on a similar wavelength that I'm on.
Evelyn, does he know what he's doing?
Well, if he's concentrating on that thought process as he's doing it, then he will create that effect. But I'm also getting a feeling that his own psyche, his own sensitivity, is giving him warnings. And what he's doing is protecting himself on an unconscious level.
Yeah, you're doing this for a reason, sir, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Gracious. My hope is to get people to question and to wonder, in the area I'm at anyway, starting on the small, the small area I live in, to think a bit more broadly, to ask more questions, to grow in understanding rather than stay in the stagnation that they've been in. You've
devised your own ritual, haven't you?
Yeah, I kind of have my own homemade voodoo. I've kind of considered it. It's been 8 years or so in the making.
Marvelous.
Yeah, and I am doing it for the purpose of trying to better my small environment, thereby maybe it will trickle outwards, you know.
That's really interesting.
What is above, so be it below. What he is doing is sending into the ethereal and then manifesting into the physical, and it will be in his general vicinity. That's excellent.
Oh, good.
Excellent.
Good advice. Well, thanks, Evelyn. And
You're welcome.
To speak to you.
All right, is what that man is doing, Evelyn, as potentially powerful as somebody who would take a course and understand specifically how to do a ritual? Is it potentially as powerful if he believes it that strongly?
If he believes it that strongly, and he sounds like he has a natural talent and predisposition to magic, so it would be quite powerful. Now, the more knowledge that he gained and the more tools that he used as an asset would only increase it.
Gotcha. All right, listen, we're coming toward the last hour. Always ask the guests at the last hour. I can release you into the arms of Morpheus, or you can spend the last hour with us. I'd leave that up to you.
I would love to spend it with you.
Done deal. All right. Rosemary or whatever. Incense, peppermints, witchcraft. That's what we're talking about. I'm Art Bell.
Good sense, ill sense, cripple mankind. There's James
You're listening to Art Bell, Somewhere in Time. Tonight featuring Coast to Coast AM from March 15th, 2001.
Just in case you're joining us very late, one last warning for you. We're discussing witchcraft. Serious witchcraft. It's no joke, and if you're offended by this sort of thing, you can turn the dial now. Either one. One that leads to another radio station, one that is off. So be warned, that is the subject material tonight. We'll be right back. Dr. Evelyn Paglini is my guest. Once again, Evelyn Paglini. And Evelyn, save, I guess, the most dire things for near the end of the program. I want to ask you about a couple of things. One is blood sacrifice. Evelyn, what do you know about that?
Well, it is very prevalent. It goes on across many different religion, cultures, and societies. They will use animal sacrifice, and they will use human sacrifice, especially children. And there is also organizations out there that have breeding farms. You have in your audience many survivors of satanic ritual that they have seen playmates, members of their family, as well has been witness to blood sacrifice.
You know, if I didn't know you, I would say, I don't know if I believe that. I don't know if I believe that there are breeding farms, for example, breeding farms to make young people to be sacrificed?
Absolutely. As well as many, many children that are missing throughout the world and that have never been found.
You're claiming this is going on in America?
It's going on in America as well as across the world. And if you put the call out to your audience, you will receive phone calls from the survivors of ritual sacrifice. You will receive phone calls. Just put the call out there, and that I will be validated.
Well, I hope not, but I guess I suppose...
Oh, it's the truth. And like I said, so many children that go missing, that are never found, have been used as breeders as well as used as sacrifice. They want the innocent, the young, the pure, because the nectar of the gods is blood, just like the metal of the gods is gold.
What do you mean, the gods? The nectar of the gods is blood.
Yes, because if you are calling upon a specific deity or being or demon, what they want is the sacrifice of blood. And those people who are in these societies, once they have the taste of blood and the taste of flesh, never, ever go without it. It is something that becomes so ingrained in them that they must have it. And so, therefore, they will actually breed children in order for them to sacrifice them to their deities, their gods, their forces, in order to gain the knowledge and the power that they have.
And they do gain power that way?
Oh, yes, they do. Big time.
Phew. That's almost beyond my ability to comprehend.
They don't want you to comprehend it. They don't want you to believe it. It's
well,
secret.
They're doing real well then, because I can't even. That's beyond my.
Some night, open up your lines and ask people who have escaped that kind and have witnessed what I am talking about. Have them call in, Art.
I can do that now. I've got a couple of people waiting, but then I can do that.
There will be people who will come out of the woodwork and say, yes, this is true. I have witnesses. I have lived it. I have been brought up in it.
All right, everybody who is presently on the line waiting, I'm going to get you on. Everybody else, hang up. Just hang up. Cooperate and hang up. And what we want is exactly what you just heard from Evelyn. Are there people out there that actually have been part of a breeding farm or have been about to be used in a ritual sacrifice and have escaped? Do you really have personal knowledge of this? If you do, then I want to hear from you and only you. Everybody else, hang up. Listen to me, because you're not going to get on the air anyway, so hang up. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Dr. Evelyn Paglini.
Hi, Art. Hi, Evelyn.
Hi.
Wow, what you just said just scared the hell out of me.
Well, I want to scare the hell out of you because, you see, if we bring it to light, then they're not going to be able to stay in the shadows and do these dastardly deeds. I want awareness of the public out there.
Okay. Well, this is a Zen man in Alaska. And, Art, as you well know, there's a lot of alcoholism up here in Alaska. And
I know that, yes.
Yeah. And I've known a couple of alcoholics intimately. And they have both been, I guess, possessed. I mean, there's bad smells of rot in cars and buildings wherever they go, and it requires spiritual means to remove it. And I've recorded them rant and rave at times when they're drunk, and later I've heard demon sounds on the tape. And they've always been, manipulatively psychic. They use their knowledge against you.
Yes.
And later, if you confront the person when they're not having an episode, they're very confused and they cry and they don't understand what you're talking about. And I was wondering, what's this connection between psychic ability and possession? And what's the connection between alcoholism and possession? And can you drive out the alcoholism in somebody that just doesn't want it?
You can, but it would take an awful long time, and it would take a lot of psychological interpretation with the person as well as ritual on a personal nature.
Mm-hmm. I've had some luck getting rid of some of these. I don't know what you would call it, a low-level possession maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Just with the force of my will. I haven't done any rituals or anything. I've just confronted the thing, whatever it is. And it's scary to listen to these tapes because you can hear the thing. I'll try to imitate the sound. It goes kind of like that in the background of the tape, and it's nothing that I heard at the time I was talking to him.
Well, that is an energy that goes into the body and takes possession, and once in possession can do God knows what.
Yeah, and they usually do God knows what.
Exactly. I'm being kind.
I've seen some very, very bizarre behavior out of these individuals.
If you opened up my case history in my filing cabinet, you would not believe what you would find in there. And these are all testimonials from people who have lived it.
Mm-hmm. All right, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for the call. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Good morning.
Good morning. This is Lee. I'm from Phoenix, but I drive a cross-country semi. Sorry for the cell phone, Art.
No, that's right. It's a pretty good one as they go.
I listen to you on many stations, but I think I'm listening to you this time out of San Antonio, WOAI or something like that.
That'd be the one, 1200, yes.
That's right, that's the one. Well, I'm currently in Oklahoma, and I was listening to your station, and Evelyn asked for verification, and I just wanted to tell you that I had a friend who was in PD, and swore up and down that she was raised in her youth by a woman who was a witch priestess. She married a man who got her into this, and that she and her younger sister were involved in the rituals, and that she was made to clean up the blood after the rituals. She would just be absolutely vomiting as a little child cleaning this up. That her mother would force her to do that and be a part of the rituals, and that's part of the reason that she is MPD.
Holy mackerel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Multiple personality disorder usually is the fracturing of a young child, and it is done deliberately.
Absolutely.
It is done in ritual. It is done also in sexual ritual.
Absolutely.
So that they will split the person.
She was able to escape, and later on was able to help her little sister to escape. But her little sister, they never had a really close relationship after that. It kind of got weird after that because of the rituals and of the situations that they had. But by the way, I am a third-degree witch, initiated. My husband is an initiated shaman.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And yes, there is a difference between Wicca and witchcraft. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, there you go. What I've done is, for the audience out there right now, I've closed all of the phone lines for anything except those who have been involved in ritualistic magic or breeding farms or blood sacrifice. And that's all I'm taking right now, other than I think I still have one person holding with something else. Otherwise, please only call if you know about these things. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
Hello, Art. Hello, Evelyn.
Hello.
This is Jean, listening to Como in Western Washington.
Right.
Evelyn, I've been told by several people that we take on our partner's sexual, or our partner's karma through sexual intimacy, and I wonder if you know anything about that. I have another question, too.
No, you do not.
You do not. My other question is, do you have a psychic sense whether your clients really understand their circumstance?
When my clients make an appointment with me and I do a consultation, yes, because I take the time in order to explain to them just exactly what is going on and then how to solve the problem or the situation.
I see. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you very much for the call, and take care. First-time caller line, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
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 Yeah, Houston, Texas.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to add a question for Dr. Paglini. First question is kind of comical. What about cats stealing the breath? I've got a cat that I heard earlier that, certain animals, of course, can be manipulated to do whatever, but just a strict black cat.
Is that an old wives' tale you want to know?
No, I want to know, is there any truth to that?
Well, that's what you want to know. Is it an old wives' tale or is it true?
Right. And also, I had another question.
Doctor?
No, it's not true. They do not suck the breath out of a child.
No, because I mean, literally, the cat. You wake up in the morning, the cat's right in your face, and they.
Well, yeah, but they do that, so it doesn't. The answer is it's not true. Your next question?
Okay, my next question is, you have. I'm understanding the ritual arts, Wiccan and whatever. I've done candle magic and done other things. I understand there is something to that, and I understand that as well. But my question is, what about the people that, like Sylvia Brown, that's out there that of course, just like you're legit. What about her? Do you have any comment on, like, if you were going to try to perform, magic on her or do whatever? I mean, is this somebody? Do you know who Sylvia Brown is?
Yes, I do.
Do you respect her?
Yes, I do.
Okay. What is your thoughts and beliefs on where she comes from? Because she believes that what you're saying is like magic and black arts.
I've heard what
there's
she
no
said.
truth to it.
She said that there's no
She's like, if you were to come to her and you were to sit there and try to do something to her, that
okay, wait a minute. Hold on, caller. Let her answer.
I'm sure. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just paused.
She does believe that there is no basics in magic and there is no cursing, and unfortunately I would not like to show her okay,
Really?
that it was real, but if she pushed me, I would.
Oh, you really could, huh?
I know I can.
Oh. Okay, that's all I wanted to know. That's my question. I really have a lot of respect for Sylvia. I know where she comes from.
She's doing a wonderful job. She really is.
Yeah, from God. And I was just, wondering, like, I know that you would never do something like that, but it's like, really, she has to believe in that. She has really Christian beliefs.
Magic is real, and you can affect change, positive or negative, and that's the truth.
All right. West of the Rockies, you're on there with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
Hello, I'm Elaine.
Hi, Elaine.
And I have had, not a friend of mine, but me, I've had experiences with this. I was on a breeding farm, and my daughter was to be sacrificed.
What?
And I got really, really scared. All of a sudden, I love this baby inside of me, and I wanted to keep it. And I had a real hard time getting away, and I had to move 10 different times when I was pregnant. I lived in Castro Valley. I lived in San Francisco. I lived in the Valley of the Moon. I lived in Berkeley for a while, and then I moved back to Oakland, and then I moved to Fremont, and that's where my daughter was born.
Wow.
And subsequently, ever since then,
May I ask a question? How do you get lured into
the idea, I was 21, 22 when I first started getting into it, and it was just the idea. I moved into a house with these people back in the day, when we smoked a little green and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm your age. I'm 52. I'm not a baby. And the people, they would go out in the backyard, this woman and her boyfriend would go out in the backyard, and they'd sit there with a crystal ball, and from the inside, I'd look out the curtains, and a crystal would be glowing. I thought, whoa, cool, and I wanted to get involved in this, and that's basically the beginning of it, and
how did you realize it was something else?
Right.
Realize what was something else, hon?
That you were into something beyond glowing crystal balls, that you were, in other words, you were in deep...
Oh, I didn't. It was just fun. It was just a fun thing to do, to get high and just be with a bunch of other witches, and so mote it be, and things like this. And I just went deeper and deeper and deeper. It just happened. I didn't know what the heck was going on. My father's a minister.
When did you understand that your daughter was going to be sacrificed?
Well, that's why I was bred on a table, on an altar table, and my daughter was to be the sacrifice when she was born, and that was the 21st of December.
So in other words, you were on the altar in the nude, and you were penetrated and therefore conceived to bring about
definitely
a child for sacrifice.
Yes, the winter solstice.
That's right.
And, I've been practicing witchcraft since then, but it's been quiet, of a more, I don't know, I've just felt so bad about all of this.
Did you witness yourself any other people being sacrificed?
You did?
Yes.
And were they children or adults?
No, they were babies.
Babies?
That were sacrificed.
And was the blood
they were
drunk?
Like newborn. They were like 3 or 4 days old, never any older than that.
And did they drink the blood?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Thank God you don't.
You see, there's a lot. You see, I don't even remember any of my high school days. Of course, I don't remember any junior high or any elementary. I don't remember anything past a certain point. And I can tell you this. My folks, they have a place in Oklahoma, and my father and mother, they're comfortable. My sisters all have great educations, BAs and associated arts, and they work in making glasses and things like that. They're all successful. But me, I'm poor as a church mouse. I can't concentrate. I'm on SSI. My daughter was killed 6 years ago in a car accident, a single car accident. There wasn't a mark on her body.
In other words, you got her away from those who would have sacrificed her, and she died anyway.
Oh, you can't believe it. I've lost all my children but one. I've had 4 children, and they've all died. I had a son that was 6 weeks old, perfectly healthy, beautiful baby boy, got a fever.
All right, listen, I want you to hold on. Stay right there, all right? We'll be right back to you. We've got to pause here. This is Coast to Coast AM. I'm Art Bell, and this is Rough Stuff.
Holding you is a warmth that I thought I could never find. Just trying to decide. I'll stay by your side. You never felt this way.
Now, we take you back to the past on Art Bell Somewhere in Time.
Good morning, everybody. We're talking about ritual blood sacrifice. You know, when I was in Los Angeles at this talk radio conference with Matt Drudge up on stage, somebody in the audience, I think, asked me if I've ever done anything on the show that scared me to the point where I could barely go on. And I said, oh, yes, several times. This is one of those times. Dr. Evelyn Paglini, welcome back.
Thank you.
And here is this young lady with this incredible story, and we didn't have time to finish up. And I don't know how you finish up with this kind of a story.
Well, like I was telling you, my son within 10 hours, he was dead, and the doctor said it was Waterhouse-Friderichsen syndrome. Now, I've never heard of that since, or I never heard of it before. And then my next daughter, her boyfriend hung her.
Good God. I imagine, then, that you attribute all this to...
Yes, I do.
...that which you didn't quite escape fully.
Yes, I do. I've had other problems, too, because I've tried to call you several times, like when you were talking about the ghost, but I don't believe it's a ghost that's bothering me. I believe it's a demon. I don't know if it's the fear that I have in me. I've done tried to do some cleansing. I've used the sage. I'm just sitting here shaking like a leaf because it's not something I really like to talk about.
Evelyn, what does she do?
Well, first of all, if she believes that they are reaching out,
I know they are.
Apparently that's what they're doing. What if she has some of the knowledge of the names of these people? I can design a ritual that will stop them in their tracks.
Yeah, I can't remember anything.
I would suggest you give me a call. I would like to talk to you personally, question you, and again, I will design something for you that will put a stop to it.
Okay. First-time caller line, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Good morning. Hello?
Hello?
Yes?
Oh, hi, Art. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's Wizard here from Winnipeg.
Yes.
I just want to throw in a couple words. I had some contention to the definition made regarding blood sacrifice being somehow a benefit to a god. There's really nothing to be gained as a god from the sacrifice of the innocent. It's only through...
Not God, sir. Nobody said anything about God.
Oh, I thought that she had said earlier that these sacrifices were made to the gods.
The
belief, I'm sorry. Okay, the belief...
Let's talk about big, God with big G versus gods, plural.
Okay.
There's a difference.
Okay, well, the idea that some would hold the idea that to sacrifice someone innocent would somehow be an appeasement to their god.
It brings power. That's what you said.
Yeah, right. Right, exactly. And that idea is only made through man's, which is a big God argument, really, the blood sacrifice thing, and it's done through man's inability to face elements of truth through our fears as ego. And I could give you a quick example of a sacrifice, but at the same time I don't want to offend you, and that's part of the problem. It's real world situations. Like I'll give you a real world example, and by all means don't mean to offend anybody. And it's certainly nothing like the fear that's already been presented. But an example would be, let's say, in Iraq, over a million people are denied medical treatment, and they die, and their children. And it's through our fears to face our mistakes as mere mortals, as men who make mistakes, like particularly politically, because as a god, you recognize the ignorance that we all suffer from at one level or another. But as I say, it's through our fears to recognize that maybe we made a mistake denying medical treatment to people we claim are being repressed. Like if they're being repressed, why would you attack them, right, or make them suffer any more hardships than they already go through? So it's being able to reason those and using reason and being of God or being of one of the universe has them as us. Like you say, us. Well, you're really including them. There's not really a them and us. It's everyone's included. So those are the things, and those are the ego. That's when the ego gets away, because you think, well, am I telling Madeleine Albright she's not a nice person? Well, you know she is, and she's a nice person.
All right, sir. Hold it there. Hold it there. I'm not exactly sure where you were running it. It got from the personal to the political to the world situation. Evelyn, I suppose to some degree there is that. I mean, there have been evil blood sacrifices made on national levels, haven't there?
Oh, absolutely. But I'm talking about those practitioners.
I know.
Okay, who are really calling down demons, and they are making sacrifices to them. Human sacrifice, is in every culture and in every religion. It's only since Christianity became civilized that we do not have blood sacrifices anymore, except in those other societies. But to contact a specific demon and to be able to gain the knowledge and the command of it, it is usually a blood sacrifice that is offered.
Gotcha. West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
Hi, Evelyn. Hi, Art. I'm really thankful that I got on. I don't know what to talk about first, but I had a personal question about these fallen angels. Like the fallen ones that, like, Elizabeth Clare Prophet wrote about in The Origins of Evil, and the ones that came down.
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe that they are among us in human form?
There are some that have been able to manifest in a body and walk the land, yes.
I believe that. I know about them, and I've encountered them. And, yeah, I had a girlfriend that was ritually used, and she's had a really hard time with it.
In what way?
She was used ritually by just like what the last lady said. She was so scared of them, and I was always praying for her, and she was always praying for herself, you know. And so I do know about it. And also,
was she used to breed?
She wouldn't tell me specifics. She believed that it wasn't good to talk about it, and I agree with her. But, you know, even the priests are using blood. Even the ancient Hebrews, they were using blood. And before that, we know there was the blood of woman. But I don't want to talk about that. But I wanted to talk about the new children that are coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I also wanted to talk about the mass conditioning that's going on in our population. And one of them is the immunizations that I want to see that they get avoided for our new children. Because before, we never inoculated children before the age of 2. And in Europe, it's illegal to inoculate children before the age of 2. And when you do that, you assault their spirit. You insult their spirit because they come impure, and they don't need that. And
do you agree with that, Evelyn?
Certain inoculations, absolutely, especially what is going on today. It is not a preventative measure.
Really? So you're insulting their spirits?
No, it's not so much you're insulting their spirits. You're impregnating them, okay, with a possibility of a virus.
Okay. Wildcard line, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Yes, this is Tristan. I'm calling from Houston.
Yes, sir.
Yes, I am a Wiccan of the universal Wiccan variety. I had two things to mention, actually. I'm glad that Ms. Paglini differentiated between her particular branch and generic Wiccans out there, in that hers is slightly different. I wouldn't want to cause too much confusion there. We're basically pretty normal people. A lot of things can ritualistically be misunderstood if you were to, say, go into a Catholic Mass or something like that and had no concept of what was going on. You know, a man in strange robes, blood in a chalice, eat this flesh, blood. Well, it's very macabre. I grew up Catholic. I understand the Dr. Paglini grew up Catholic too, and understands that this is symbolic and it's not bad or evil. Of course, most of my family still is Catholic, and I've no problems with that. But
the symbology still represents the body and the blood of a sacrificial lamb.
True, and to actually to say that it's symbolic would get you excommunicated a while back. But the point is that if somebody went into that and completely didn't know what was going on, they would be extremely persecuted. But it's perspective.
Well, that's different, honey, than taking a child's life, draining the child's body of blood, and then dismembering it and eating it.
Right. Okay. As far as that goes, that's the second point I wanted to address. There was a book called Satanic Panic, and I forget the author's name, but you could probably do a search on it and find it. It's extremely good. It talks about how rumors get started, how they evolve psychologically, the want to believe in something malevolent or evil. It's the better safe than sorry psychological mechanism. There has been absolutely no factual, provable evidence of any of this at all, and people have done exhaustive studies on it. People continually, shows like Geraldo and things like that originally broke a lot of these satanic kids are doing the satanic thing. Our government has infiltrated the cocaine cartels and organized crime, but can't seem to crack into a bunch of teenagers in the woods doing satanic rituals and breeding farms, which nobody has ever been able to factually document. I understand it's very sensational, and it's a very interesting.
All right, so in other words, you're saying you think it's a bunch of baloney, that there is no such thing as satanic breeding farms and so on.
There was a woman who was
Is that correct? Is that the bottom line? Okay.
Bottom line, no
Evelyn, he's saying it's baloney.
Well, that's why I asked the people in your audience who certainly were the witnesses and those who have escaped from it and lived through it to call. It's not just me saying it.
Yeah, obviously, he didn't believe what the callers had to say.
He didn't live through it. Thank God he hasn't. I've witnessed it. I have counseled people and tried to put them back together. And like I said, they're out there and they are willing to step forward and tell you what they have witnessed.
All right. East of the Rockies, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello.
Hey. Should I tell my story now?
I don't know. What's your story? Where are you?
I'm in Houston right now.
Okay.
And, like, almost every other weekend, I go to my friend's house and, we smoke marijuana. Am I allowed to say that on the air?
Apparently you are.
All right.
Yes, so?
And, well, when we go there, he'll tell me these stories, like, because I've known him forever. He said that his parents, like, which are dead now, he never told me how, are, he said that they were involved in, like, some, like, cults and stuff and voodoo and everything. And, like, he said that something about him being what y'all are talking about, one of those childs for sacrifice. And, I mean, not just because he's high. I mean, like, before that, I'm just saying I go over there a lot just to smoke. But, I mean, before we get high, he'll talk about it and stuff. And, he's got a little, like, I don't know, a little token or something, like a little symbol token thing that his parents gave him, and it just looks real weird. I don't know, like one of those voodoo movies, you know. You still there?
Yes.
Yeah, we're listening and sort of waiting for you to tell us what you say he was involved. His parents were involved, and he was a ritualistic victim.
Yeah, that he was going to be used as a like the sacrifice for.
And he got away.
Yeah, and he told me that it was because like his parents, when they found out they had to give him up, they took him and they moved away. He said they just moved away so that they wouldn't have to sacrifice their own kid. And
that story has been told over and over again.
Oh?
Yeah.
So that's not so unusual, Evelyn?
Not at all. There are many people that have been duped because they've joined an organization or a society and they believe that this society is going to help enlighten them as well as possibly even do good work or charitable work. Later, as they go into the ranks and they go up to the levels in the different hierarchy of evil, they find that they have been duped and that they will ask for their offspring.
West of the Rockies, you're on the air with Dr. Paglini. Hello?
Hi, for me?
Yes, for you.
Okay, I was saying that I was wondering about the connection between possession and this type of stuff. I think where I get confused is I've had experiences my whole life with possession and what I now believe might be demons, or I don't know what to call them, ghosts or demons, but they seem often to be negative or evil. And I know that sometimes psychologists, sometimes just people in general who haven't ever had the experiences will either not believe or they'll attribute it to something else.
Well, what is happening to you?
What's been going on my whole life, or what was the latest thing, or
well,
in general?
I guess just we don't have a lot of time, so
okay,
make the point as best you can.
I think the thing that I don't like, the biggest problem of all is I don't like the possession. I don't like when they show up and usually they present themselves in some form and take over. And it's very hard to fight them out.
Take you over? Yes,
I feel taken over. I usually hear a noise. In the beginning, I hear like a soft whirring noise that slowly turns into a low growl. And it sounds kind of human, but it also sounds sort of like an animal. And this is something that's been consistent my whole life. It's happened to me since I was little.
And then?
And then I feel it coming in, and sometimes I see it coming in the form of a beast or sometimes a person. And then I'm in a fight. Literally, it's like I'm half passed out, or in almost like a dream state, but I'm not totally conscious. And sometimes I don't know how long I'm under. Sometimes I'll wake up the next morning, but I always wake up the same way. I feel like the blood's been sucked out of me, or like my breath has been, I feel totally weak. I can't stand up for a long time. My whole body's shaking.
All right, we're so out of time. Evelyn,
okay.
What might this young lady be facing?
She may indeed be facing low entity beings or demonic possession.
I just don't understand why me and everyone I talk to, nobody else seems to.
Evelyn, what does she do?
Well, again, because I need to have more insight, I would appreciate if she would give me a call and tell me what has been going on, and then we can create something that will at least alleviate or lessen the possession.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
All right, we'll give out the contact information. We're just out of time. There's nothing I can do about it. If you want to do it by email, she does have an email address. That is QEP, as in question Evelyn Paglini, QEP@MSN.com. One more time, QEP@MSN.com. And I would like to say it has been a great pleasure, but actually a lot of it's been scary as hell, Evelyn.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Having you here was incredible. Till next we meet, Evelyn.
Good night, Art.
Good night. Good night, everybody.